Welcome to this BEC podcast. My name is Rasmus Bæk, and today with me, a Dutch guy, Ruben Jille. Welcome to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
It's not the first time. It will not be the last time we were sitting here, but it's been a while actually because of COVID, of course. How's the 16-month been for you?
Strange, as for everyone probably. I really missed playing tournaments, especially like last summer when there was no Olympics, no European championships in football and everything. I really missed it, but I'm really happy it's getting a bit more normal to play again, to travel again, and do what we love.
And it's also actually a chance to get that partnership of yours, especially with Tees, going first and foremost. You were on a good track with your former partner who chose to retire, and then into a new partnership, and then lockdown basically came. It was not that far. You made it before that. Which frustration or thoughts has there been in the last couple of months or half a year basically in that term?
Actually, I didn't think about it that much, honestly. I was just going with the flow. I accepted the situation that Jacco had retired and that we just had to start from zero. And we tried to use the first year, because we started in 2019 already. We tried to just get to know each other. How are we feeling on court? How are we playing? What is things that we need to improve on together? Of course, he's a younger guy, so it was all new for him to play bigger tournaments. And yeah, of course, it was frustrating after that men's team championships in February, and also we won the nationals 2 weeks before that. So we were in a good flow. So it was frustrating at the start, but what else than adapting can you do? So we just try to focus a lot on practice, on development, and we had faith in that tournaments would come again, and we just waited out actually.
A few years ago, you and I spoke at Belgium International, where we talked about this generation you had at that point. It was one of Jacco's last tournaments, actually, as far as I remember. Jille was there still, and you were actually building up quite a good team. Right now, they're not here. Any of these two guys. You're one of the oldest, actually, at the moment in the men's group. With you, Mark and Ruben as one of the oldest ones. How is it to now look at that and saying, okay, I need to be the responsible here. I need to lead the way with Mark and with Ruben, so the youngsters can actually follow us, so we can actually build a team which can again show that, okay, we're here to stay.
Yeah, I try not to think too much about that, actually, that I'm the oldest guy, because I'm only 24, and to think about that I'm one of the older ones is a little scary, actually.
Why?
But I'm because
why is it scary to think about that?
I still hope to be in here for a long time. So to think I'm old is not the right way to think for me. But I'm actually used to that. We have a pretty small team we practice with. So when I came in, we only had like 10 players at the seniors, both women and men. So it is a small team that I've always practiced with and worked with. I just try to take every day and try to take every practice with the guys and girls we have in the best way possible to improve. And yeah, of course, Selena is now really like the oldest in our team, and yeah, she is trying to help the younger girls, and so are Robin, Mark, and me trying to help some of the younger guys that are sometimes practicing with us from the juniors, to help them raise the level and hopefully also fight for our spot in the future.
We saw you guys win the medal in the event in February 2020. Everybody who saw the celebration remember that. You guys are one of the teams with the most potential if we look towards the ranking. What will the future bring, you think, if we look 5 years down the line from here?
I think that's a nice compliment. Ideally, you of course hope to challenge the best in Europe every time. I really hope that it was not just one occasion where we showed that we can compete for medals and even for a final. Of course, we have to admit that as soon as we saw we were not playing Denmark in the quarters or the semis, that we were like relieved because their men's team is extremely strong still, I think. But we just try to become stronger as a group. We are working on that, and we just hope to win these medals every single time. Team events, individual championships, to show that we are like not a big badminton country, but especially in Europe, a country that matters and people are maybe a little afraid of to play against.
We've seen that your singles player Mark and Joran has moved to Denmark to practice there. We have seen that Soraya has been also traveling to get her women's singles career going. Same for Gail. We've seen some of the very young players. We saw them in December for the mixed team qualification, who was part of the national training in the Netherlands. I think they were like 17, 18 years old. What did it do to you seeing that, okay, my sparring partner, the friends who I have on practice, they're actually leaving the country to chase their goals. I'm staying here because that's a priority of the federation.
Yeah, they actually left in cooperation with the federation. So it was not that they didn't want to practice in the Netherlands anymore, but at that time, with a few coach switches and all the stuff that was going on, it was the best solution for them to move to Denmark and practice with Jonas, to have more sparring also. They've used some Danish club players for sparring as well, because we just don't have that in the Netherlands. We don't have the luxury of practicing with club players because their level is just not the same. So it was a necessary move at that time for the Olympics in Tokyo. And of course, their move was extended by a year because of all the things that happened. But I'm actually pretty sure that they will come back after the Olympics, because the federation also wants to think about the next generation. And we need Mark and Joran also to build on the next generation of singles players to improve them. So we are actually trying to build a practice facility where we can have a constant flow of juniors coming up to the seniors, challenging them, and this process going on. But it is necessary for junior players to practice with the seniors sometimes.
How is it to come from a country where, if we look at population, it's not small, it's not big. If we look at geography, it's kind of small. But you know that, you said it yourself, we were 10 players when I arrived, came into the national training. The numbers are not much higher now, to be honest. How is it to know that, okay, we're actually a pretty decent country, but there are no players? Yeah, at least on the national team.
It is, I think it also makes you kind of proud in some way that we have such a small team and still are able to produce results even on the highest level in the world. Like Mark reached the semi-final at the All England, quarterfinals at World Championships. I think we have had a lot of European medals through the years. So knowing that there is actually this talent, I think is a good thing. And it's also just the approach by the federation and our NOC that limits some stuff. Like there's also financial borders in what our federation can do, in what our NOC can do. So it's not all our own choice that we have such a small team. But we just make the best of it, and we practice every day with the same guys, and we are used to it also.
Of course, it's hard for you to be objective on this one, but is the amount of money that badminton get in the Netherlands, is it fair compared to what you deliver?
That's a really tough question. I think with not much more, but a little more, we could up our game in a few areas quite a lot.
In which areas?
I think in like traveling. Like for instance, if we travel to tournaments, we sometimes go without a coach, which is a financial issue a lot of times. We don't take medical staff with us because we don't have the money for it. We have to search for cheaper hotels sometimes, which is not available at the moment with Corona, but usually we try to search for the cheapest options. And I think if we don't have to think about stuff like that and we become a little more professional, it could help us a lot in growing as a sport and also growing the sport in the Netherlands, because I think that's the basic of popularity and of results, is also a little bit of the popularity of the sport in your country.
Do you believe that there's an open door somewhere to these kind of finances?
We are working on it. I think our technical department of the federation is of course working hard to seek opportunities at our NOC, in sponsors and everything to try to make it easier for us. But it's really hard for me to say if they are doing a good job, if they are succeeding, because I'm just not thinking about that too much.
Ruben, another topic I would like to touch point on today is that for 1.5 years or so, I have been writing on a story with your sister, which break this week, just before the European Championships. Deborah, your sister, the women's doubles, mixed doubles player, who's also here in Kiev with us this week, told about healthcare issues. And I saw that you shared your comments on social media. And I'd actually like to talk to you about being part of that journey for Deborah. Yeah. You wrote that you are very, very proud of her stepping forward to be a role model. How was it to see sister's story go out?
Yeah, it's like mental health is something that's like a big taboo, I think, amongst a lot of people, and I've seen her struggle a lot, obviously, and also my parents, which is pretty tough to say and tough to talk about also, honestly. But to see her opening up, which has been a part of the problem, is something, of course, that I'm really proud of, and I also encourage other people struggling to do, because it does help to talk and to share your story. So I really hope also that by my sister sharing hers, if it only helps 1 or 2 extra people that are daring to step up and daring to take the step to be honest to themselves and to others, I think that would be amazing.
Are you also aware that what you do can also be important in the process for others?
Yeah, obviously. For me personally, mental health is something I have never struggled with. You have your downs, you have your ups, but I've never been very low. And it's also hard to imagine for a lot of people, why are you thinking like that? And I also had the same, when I first heard about that she was struggling with that, I was a little bit like, how, I couldn't put my finger on what was going wrong. And I think it is very, very hard to penetrate these emotions and feelings, but I just try to tell her always that she could always come to me and she could always ask for my help, and I would always try to be there for her if she needed me. And I'm not sure if she did it enough or she did it too much. I can't say that, but at least I was trying to be open and tell her that she could say everything she wanted to say.
Maybe, Ruben, because one thing is what Deborah told. We will have Deborah on the podcast later on, so she can tell the story herself. So let her deal with that. But as a relative to a person struggling with healthcare, you say, I was there for you, or I was there for her. What did you do?
It's things like asking her to eat together, for instance, because you just want to make sure she's all right, or asking her to talk to you, or just trying to stay in touch more often than usual, because we are both not the type of person that are calling each other every day normally, besides all the practice and everything. But just try to I tried to step it up a little more and try to let her know, like, you matter to me and to our parents, of course. You matter very, very dearly. So letting her know that we are there, I think.
Well, how has it influenced the way you now look at mental health care?
Probably the way I look at it hasn't changed that much, but probably the awareness. Like, if you don't experience it in your life, in your relatives, you're not thinking about it a lot. You're always a bit like that's far away, you know. But if it comes this close, it's of course something you are thinking about a lot more often.
And what Deborah also said, I remember from the talks we have had, is that everybody knows one, but you don't know who. Can you now pinpoint, I don't want you to mention any names, that's no fair, but can you now see that, okay, walking around here with a group of people, either being off-court, on-court friends, being strangers, that, okay, maybe she might need a shout-out?
No, actually not, because I think that's the issue. She also pinpointed that in the interview, that it's, to the outside world, it is relatively easy to hide. For a lot of people, it is easier to hide their real feelings and real emotions. And she was actually a master at that, because at first I also was like, my parents could call me and say, like, was she okay? And I said, yeah, we just had a good practice, and she was smiling all the way, and I brought her home and it was fine. You know, so it also took a lot of time for me to actually recognize sometimes that it wasn't right. And I don't know if I should mention, but I remember that we played together in Austria. We lost in the first round, and I felt on court that she was extremely, like, nervous, full of tension, and I thought, like, what's wrong? You know, is it me? Is it the game? Is she just playing bad, or thinks she's playing bad? What is it? And I remember after that match, she came to me, or we sat down in the cool down area, and she just immediately started crying and just said, like, I'm feeling so bad, and not about the game, but I'm just so unhappy at the moment. And it was actually, that was the first time she spoke those words to me directly. So I was, of course I hugged her, and I tried to calm her and try to say it's okay. But it's really difficult to see family members struggle, honestly. It makes me a little emotional now, actually.
How is it to see her today?
It's always nice. I think I'm proud of her, not only of her mental health, but also the way that she's playing. Actually, I think she's very decent badminton player. I think we have grown to each other more in this period. The last 16 months have actually made us stay in touch more, and just as the whole family, I think we have learned, and we have also grown. And it's a process which in which she is maybe centralized, but we all try to improve as persons and as family, as brother, as father, as mother. And I have another older brother who's living in Belgium. I think he is also trying to be there a little bit more than we have been.
So something good came out of it.
Yeah. We're not there yet, I admit, but of course we are trying to get better every day.
I wish you and your family the very best, Ruben, and thanks for also letting me into your family's life. It's been a process, and it is a process, but thank you for opening up, and I will say the same to Deborah for sure.
Yeah, no problem, and thanks for giving her also the opportunity to tell her story, because I think it's really important, and it's something that we shouldn't try to put the taboo on too much.
And on that note, we will actually wrap up the podcast. If you struggle with health care issues and mental health care issues, please reach out to somebody who can help you. That will be the encouragement for both Ruben and I. And thank you for watching this BEC podcast.